Alright, welcome back. This is 4th grade lesson 612, Everyday Math, page 220. It is fraction number stories. I'm going to walk you guys through a few of these problems here, just to help you reason things out. My guess, I could be wrong, my guess is at least one of these will be tripping you up, or maybe all of them. Maybe you don't even know where to begin. So that's where I'm going to step in and see if I can help you guys reason these problems out. So here's what they want you to do. They want you to write a number model with an unknown to represent each problem and then solve. Shamela's full backpack weighs 10 1/4 pounds. Before leaving for school, she added a 1-subject notebook. Now her backpack weighs 11 pounds. How much does the 1-subject notebook weigh? Okay, so it looks here. I want you to literally envision there's a backpack that someone's carrying around. It weighs 10 1/4 pounds. You put a notebook inside of it. Now it weighs a little bit more. It weighs 11 pounds. So we need to figure out how much that notebook weighs. Basically, we need to find the difference between 10 1/4 and 11. And when we're trying to find the difference of two numbers, that should be a red alert that tells us this will be a subtraction problem. So first, let's start with our number model with the unknown. We're going to start with the total that we have, which is 11 pounds. And we're going to be taking away 10 1/4. Also known as 10 1/4 pounds. And that's going to give us the variable, the unknown, which is going to be the weight of the notebook. So I'm going to use N for notebook. Okay, so now the question is, how do we subtract the, what are we even going to do? And there's probably 3 or 4 different strategies we can take. But I'm going to say for a problem like this, where 11 and 10 1/4 are so close to each other, I'm going to use a counting up strategy. So let me throw my notebook over here real quick. If this helps you picture, imagine each one of these circles is a pound. There's 1 pound, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And to start, we had 10 1/4 pounds. So 1/4 of a circle kind of looks like this. This is about a quarter of a circle. Okay, so what I'm going to start with, just some light shading here to show that this is what we have so far. 10 pounds, and then 1/4 of another pound. So I'll make this whole circle, but we only have 1/4 of it. You might be able to recognize right now 1 pound, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the 11th pound, but we just don't have all of it there yet. So the question is, what would we need to add here to get us to 11, which is how much the backpack weighs now? Well, we can literally take a look. Since we're dealing in fourths, why don't we split this circle into 4 pieces? And right now, we have this much. But after we add the notebook, after we add that notebook, we end up with 11 pounds right on the dot. So tell me, how many fourths would we have to add to get to 11 full circles? Take a look. Okay, right now we have 10 1/4. And I can tell we have 3 blank fourths that we would need to fill in. So I do have another color. I'll take my blue, and to get up to 11 full pounds, we would have to fill in 3 more fourths. So how much does that extra notebook weigh? Well, it took us 3/4 to fill up, so that means that notebook has to weigh 3/4. So let's go back to our problem. I did not use a unit of measure, I just said 3/4. But we know that was actually, we're dealing with pounds. So that notebook weighs 3/4 of a pound. Some of you might be scratching your heads and saying that was a lot of work for something that you could do in your head. And if you could just visualize this from the start, awesome, guys. If you already know how to do it, great. I mean, some of you might be able to recognize right away, wow, 10 and 1/4 is really close to 11. We would only need 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. We would only need 3 more fourths. If you can already visualize that, more power to you. It'll save you some time. But in the meantime, that's how we found our 3/4 through that work that we just did on a separate piece of paper. They do throw a twist at you. C says, does the one subject notebook weigh more or less than 8 ounces? And I'm going to tell you, this is a callback to lesson, I have it tabbed, lesson 6.6, where we converted units of weight. So we know that 1 whole pound is equivalent to 16 ounces. So we have 3/4 of a pound. So that means we'll need to break this 16 into 4 pieces. And I would ask myself, what's 16 divided by 4? And I know 4 goes into 16 4 times. So that means 1/4 pound equals 4 ounces. Hopefully that shows up on screen. It looks like it does. So how many quarters do we have? We have 3 quarters. So that means for every quarter we have 4 ounces. So 1/4 would be 4 ounces. 2/4 would be 8 ounces. 3/4, that would be 3 sets of 4. That would be 12 ounces. So the question is, does the one subject notebook weigh more or less than 8 ounces? Well, weighs more. And how do you know? I'm going to let you explain that. You can take another look at 6.6 and how we broke this down. We broke the 16 ounces into 4s because we're dealing with fourths, and we were able to find the solution from there. You know, this is one of those lessons, guys, that's kind of hard to shrink down into just a video because it gets confusing pretty quickly. So really, just like I say with every section, if you're still having trouble, if you're watching this and it's confusing, message me, and I'll try to clarify and walk you through it a different way, perhaps. But in the meantime, let's take a look at number 2 because it's a little bit of a different approach. I think we're dealing with someone named Carter here. Yep. So we're still dealing with backpacks, but I think we're going to be adding more. Carter's empty backpack weighed 1 3/4 pounds. He filled it with 3 2/4, also known as 3.5. 3 2/4 pound science book, a 2/4 pound recorder, a 1/4 pound calculator, and a 1 1/4 pound notebook. How much does the filled backpack weigh? So first we need to figure out what type of problem this is going to be. And again, I want you to visualize it. He's got a backpack with nothing in it. And even an empty backpack has some weight to it, right? If you put it on a scale, it's going to weigh something. So our starting point here is 1 3/4 pounds. That's how much it weighs empty. So 1 3/4. And it looks like we're looking for how much does the backpack weigh when it's filled. So we're looking for total weight. So what do we do every time we get a new number? So he's got the empty backpack and he adds on a science book, which weighs 3 2/4 pounds. And then what's he add next? Looks like a recorder, which weighs 1/2 pound. I remember my recorder days. And then he adds a calculator, which is just a 1/4 pound, also known as 1/4. And then a notebook, which weighs more than the calculator by far, weighs 1 pound more than the calculator. This is a hefty notebook. It weighs 1 1/4 pounds. And it equals, that's going to be our total weight for the backpack. I'm going to use B for backpack. Okay, this one might go a little bit quicker than problem number 1. We have a strategy when adding mixed numbers. Remember, a mixed number is one that has a whole number and a fraction together. So 1 is the whole number and 3/4 is the fraction here. Together, they make a mixed number. And when we add mixed numbers, our strategy first is to add the whole numbers. So let's go through and see what we have for whole numbers. I see a 1, a 3, and a 1. Boy, this B may have been a bad idea because it looks like the number 6, so it looks like I already have an answer. I might change this. I don't like it. That way we don't get it confused with the number 6. Okay, so we have a 1, a 3, and a 1. What's 1 plus 3 plus 1? I know 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So right now we have 5 wholes. Here's the beauty of the fraction part, because once we add the whole numbers, now we add the fractions. They did us a favor. They gave us fractions that all have the same denominator. And remember, when we add fractions, first we need a common denominator, which we already have. But now he's not going to change. The denominator is going to stay the same. So even right now, we can put a 4 down, because we've got them. We already have that common denominator. So now our next step is to add the numerators, the top numbers. And for that, we have 3 plus 2, which is 5, plus 2, 7, plus 1 is 8, and plus 1 is 9. So our numerator is 9. So in fact, if you take a look, this backpack weighs 5 9/4 pounds. Some of you might be saying that sounds funny, and the reason it sounds funny is because this is an improper fraction. So if you want the super real answer, what you can do is take that 9, divide it by 4, and I know 4 can go in the 9 at least twice, with how much would be left over? 4, 8, and 1 would be left over. So we can actually take this 9/4 and turn him into 2 wholes for the 4 and the 8, and then 1 extra left over. So we can take that 2 1/4, add them to 5, and this will look a little bit cleaner to us. It'll be 2 plus 5 is 7, and 1/4. So if you want to stay here with 5 9/4, that's the same thing as 7 1/4, but you might be able to tell right now that 7 1/4 looks a little cleaner. It makes a little more sense. If you have those extra holes, you may as well count them. So next, I think I'm running low on time because right now YouTube only allows me to upload videos that are 15 minutes or less. So forgive me if this closes out in a moment. I'll try to get through at least a couple. They want you to do some conversions here. They want you to take the weight of the science book and convert it into ounces. And remember, we found out in the last, in number 1, that 1 pound, 1 LDS equals 16 ounces, and 1/4 of a pound equals 4 ounces. So, I got 38 seconds. Science book. So 3 pounds would be like 3 times 16. 16 times 3 is 48. So 48 ounces plus 2/4 of another plus 8 more ounces, 56 ounces. I think that's the only one I'm going to be able to squeeze in unless I go to a number 2 here, which I might do a part 2 actually. I feel like we're rushing. So hang in there. I'm going to have to move on to part 2 until YouTube actually unlocks that 15-minute lesson for me. I'll see you in a moment.